beautiful people. This is your girl, Blue Nola, back in the building with another reading. I hope all is well. So, we're going to do a reading on Derrick Jaxn and her relationship with Derrick Jaxn. Now, if you can recall, Tasha K exposed Derrick some years ago. And we thought he was being exposed, but his wife knew exactly what was going on. She had been dealing with him and his foolishness with other women since college. Okay. I was just, the only thing, if I had to say what shocked me in the moment with Derrick Jaxn, when she said all of this, two things. I think one thing shocked me is that she married a man she was in a situationship with, right? When you think about marriage, you think about, I want to be in love and really have this solid foundation. She went into a lopsided marriage. It almost made me feel like he married her because she was pregnant, right? Because the foundation wasn't there. Like, they weren't even together other than the fact that she had gotten pregnant, right? So it was almost like a person who married her out of responsibility, out of duty, if you will. The other thing is that she mirrored her relationship from her dad to Derrick. That's important because as she was growing up and her dad got another family, she started to feel excluded in that, right? She didn't feel like she was a part of it. She felt like when she was visiting her dad, that she was being, tolerated. And therefore she went and got into a relationship and into a marriage with a man who was pretty much doing the same thing, tolerating her, right? So this is what I talk about when you talk about these, these bonds that people create. They mirror things in their life. So we're gonna get into it. I have some really great questions from, again, my client Tony. Have 7. We're gonna go ahead and just go through all 7 of these. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first one is this. I want to know, when was Derrick Jaxn ever in love? Truly in love? Because she kind of described when they first met as they were so in love, on the phone, falling asleep. When he married Derrick Jaxn, was he truly in love with Derrick? Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn, spirit. I'm going to say this. Derrick Jaxn went into a situation with Danae where he loved her, but he wasn't in love with her. This is not unconditional love here. All right. I see where I care for you. I support you. You're a good person, right? Remember I talked about marrying somebody out of duty and responsibility? That's there, right? But when it comes to, did he deep down love this woman, her essence, her being, her soul? He's in reverse for that. Okay? This does not represent a person who was totally in love with Derrick Jaxn, even in her Page of Pentacles energy. His Page of Pentacles energy. This shows a lack of commitment. This actually shows him wasting her time. This shows also him wanting his cake and eat it too, right? Hence the reason why he had all of these other women, right? Derrick Jaxn is excessive in his behavior. To me, this represents a person, if you really think about it, he may have some type of sex addiction, right? Where he's always got to be sexual and having sexual sex coming towards him. This is sexual energy here. But to answer the question, was he truly ever deeply, madly in love with Derrick Jaxn? This does not look like it. This feels like a person who cared about a person. He understood her, who she was. She was a good person. She was a solid person. But also, too, what I said, married her because she was, pregnant, right? But also, too, she's a good person. I like her. I care about her. But this represents their marriage. But most importantly, this represents the baby, right? The baby that she had. And him deciding, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just marry her. I haven't been with her this long. We didn't been through a lot. I'm going to go ahead and marry her. And so therefore he made it happen. But this does not look like a man who was madly, deeply in love with this woman. Remember, she talked about the men separated. That's that 10 of Pentacles. We were in opposition of each other before you asked me to even marry you. So this is what I'm saying. It's like she went into a lopsided situation. That's what it talks about. So I'm going to just start with that. We know she was in love with Derrick Jaxn, deeply, madly in love with Derrick Jaxn. But I wanted to know just, was he in love with her, right? We could see that she was kind of, stuck on, stupid if you will. But what did he feel? And that just shows it wasn't unconditional. When you have a man doing all of that, he doesn't like you. He doesn't like you like that. Okay? Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn spirit. How is her mental health really? She seems like she's, very articulate. And you got to remember the incident where she was exposed. They were exposed, and she had the helmet of salvation on, and all of that. That had been some time ago. She's looked like she's been kind of growing and elevating since then. I do have to give her credit, but I didn't like when she was out there putting spells on the world and casting spells. You don't do stuff like that because somebody talking about your no good for nothing husband that puts you under the bus, girl. So I really didn't like that at all. I'm like, girl, this is a perfect example of a pick-me, who times 10. Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn's mental health. I'm not a doctor. I do not diagnose. This is for entertainment purposes only. Derrick Jaxn's mental health. High Priestess. Ten of Swords. Star card. Seven of Cups. Three of Pentacles. She a good actress, y'all. She a real good actress. She don't be having it all together, but she's getting it together, right? Not that we have to always have it together. But Derrick Jaxn is not always in balance. I think, I definitely feel like she struggles, right? Mentally. She does have, in her aspects here, struggling. There's a struggle here. The last 2 years have been a fluctuation. This talks about she lost herself. She was out of balance. She was disorganized. And even with their religion, listen, it's okay to be religious. It's okay to be spiritual. But don't get to the point to where it becomes weird, right? Where you become overzealous and it starts to become weird to people. Then that's when people check out. Because now it makes people feel like you got a mental health issue. And that's that. I definitely feel she's been doing the work. She is the high priestess in her energy for mental health. And that talks about a person who's coming into her purpose and her truth. This could represent her having some understanding about who she is. I definitely feel like she's been working on some, she said toxic traits. This talks about ending some toxic traits, etc., etc. She does have the star card for health. And this talks about, I can see where some of the things that from her past affected her in her future. It made her become disorganized and discombobulated. A person don't know their worth, right? Their value, who they are. Even her Three of Pentacles, that's something she still struggles with today. That could represent feeling disorganized. That could represent feeling conflict, right? Even her Nine of Pentacles, fighting every day. That talks about, she also, besides, she has the obsession disorder. Remember she talked about in that thing where she was kind of looking at these women and trying to sound, that could be obsession disorder. She still struggles with that, trying to because this represents to me, she still worries about what the world is saying about her and what the world thinks of her. I definitely feel she's doing the work. She does have it here and here in that Four of Wands that talks about she's doing the work and she's in a much better place. So I do love that because that talks about, her investment in herself and focusing on herself is to pay off. So it does show that. But I definitely feel like she definitely was struggling with who she was, her purpose, and all of that as a person. Let's go ahead and just deal one more on Derrick Jaxn as far as her mental health is concerned. But you can see where that religion, being overzealous can make a person feel like that's an out of balance perspective, right? Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn mental health as it relates to her husband, Derrick Jaxn. Where is she with that? She has the Four of Pentacles, much better. The World card, there's still a struggle. And then the Ace of Cups, right? That's still a struggle for her. Listen, that's still a big struggle for her. That World card in reverse could talk about a person who can still sometimes, I feel like she'll always have to go to some form of therapy to hold it together, right? I don't think she's always good, guys, because even in her Ace of Cups and her World card together, that could represent a person who, they can present one way, but then when they're by themselves, it's something else, right? So I don't feel like she's always good, but I definitely feel like she's doing a lot better. What I do see in her messages is somebody who's been out of balance for the last couple of years and she's coming into her own. You know, that's what that talks about. All right. I think if she could have still have her family with Derrick, she would be in it, right? This message here talks about, you know, if she could have still been able to build with Derrick and be with Derrick. You know, Derrick, I don't think Dania would have ever left Derrick. It took Derrick for him to just, he got tired of getting caught, he got tired of getting busted, and it took for him to leave her to the relationship to end. But that's that. The next question is, is she really serious about these counseling classes and helping people? Or is this another scam? You know, Derrick Jaxn has been scamming women for years with all of his books and things of that nature. Passing himself on as this guy of integrity. Is Derrick Jaxn really serious and sincere? Why is she charging so much? I mean, child, you're not even a licensed therapist. Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn. Is she sincere about these sessions that she's providing, or is she just hustling people? Is she using her pain to hustle people? Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn. Y'all better be careful giving people y'all money, because this is somebody who has decided, okay, this doesn't look like a person who's actually working, right? Because she doesn't have like work in the sense of go to work. This person is basically hustling people, right? Using her experience, social media, to hustle people. In that Page of Pentacles, this is a person whose resources is low, right? This is a person who's decided to turn her pain into profit, right? Even in her Fool card, she's not even in the place. I'm just saying, she's not even in a place to be giving people therapy and all of that. You know, I think like you're not even healed enough to be doing that. But that Tower card is here too, and it's also interesting. But I just feel like people need to be careful about like going to people like that. You know, you wouldn't be paying your therapist $5,000 for whatever they do. You know, you would be going through your insurance company, making sure you get a licensed person. And I know she's providing a licensed person, but there's no way she should be guiding y'all with that, right? But this talks about a person who's using their pain for profit, right? That's what it talks about. And this is her job, right? Her job is to sell you guys the religion, the pain for the profit. That is her job. So I feel like she's serious enough about it to make a plan and make a profit. That's what it talks about, right? Danae is looking at this from a profit standpoint, y'all. This is how she pays her bills. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with her paying her bills like that. This thing is expensive. Are people really getting, because in that moon card could represent, they will have some people, now they have some people that will benefit from it, but you'll hear some complaints about it as well. Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn in her classes. Ooh, and the Two of Swords, right? The Two of Swords is in her messages here, and that talks about people, you know, you're going to hear complaints and some concerns about it, okay? Way too expensive, ma'am. Bring your, I don't care if you Derrick Jaxn's wife, you were just wearing a freaking bonnet and a beanie on your head a year and a half ago. You are nobody's expert. You do not have a degree in that field. You have no business charging people those prices. And this is basically, you're using your pain for profit. Right? That's no worse than a person claiming they have cancer, get everybody to donate, and then try to show them their cancer experience. You're basically doing the same thing. Alright, so, okay. Was all the publicity about their marriage for her or them to make money? Give me the energy around. Was this all about them to make money, or was this, I mean, they were truly exposed, but give me let me just get the energy around them. No, they were true, like I said, they were truly exposed, right? So the Page of Swords is people who are just truly thrown to the wolves, right? There was something that was beyond their control that happened to them. Remember, Tasha K exposed them, that thrusted her into the spotlight. So that didn't, they didn't just go out there and say, he has 100 women. This was exposed. So this shows exposure to that, right? And that King of Pentacles, somebody did something to them, right? Tasha K did this to Derrick Jaxn, therefore it thrusted his wife into the spotlight. So I don't feel like it was all done, but when you look at it, was it used? Yeah, absolutely. The justice card. Okay, so we're gonna turn this negative into the positive. Now we're gonna talk about our marriage and how to overcome cheating and how to do this and how to do that. So they turn again, once again, they turn pain into what? Profit. That's what they did. But to answer the initial question about, was it to make money? Not initially, right? They were like scrambling. That's what that represent, right? They were scrambling, and but they turned it around, right? They took a lemon and made lemonade. The next one is, was she pivotal part of Derrick's books and YouTube? Like, was she writing or giving him suggestions? Give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn. The question is, was she pivotal? Did she play a pivotal part in Derrick Jaxn's books and YouTubes? I think all the women he dealt with, including his wife, played a pivotal part in that, right? This is almost like, a person who uses his connections and whether it's with his wife or whether it's with other women, to tell these stories, right? When you surround yourself with enough women and you hear all the stuff they've been through, that's how you get your stories, right? So Derrick Jaxn can engage women. Women can tell them about all the fuck boys they dated, and he takes their pain and he puts it into the book. So the stories he's telling is through the actions and the interactions that he's had with some of these women, right? The acquaintances, I'm going to turn it around, the acquaintances that he's formed. He's basically used these women to not only have sex with him, but to share some of the stories that they have told to him. He's launched that online. So a lot of these women that he knows and all of this stuff, through time and over time, he's basically been sharing your story. When a man do this and when a man do that, or when a man tell you this, when he used all of that to his advantage to build his brand. He's basically built his brands on the backs of their pain, right? Not only that, he's had, sneaky link connections with them. I don't think it's just about Danae. I think he's used all of these experiences collectively to build up who he is. I'm sure a lot of women have recognized, like, that sounds like my story. That sounds like my story. And even though some of the stories sound very general, know that a lot of that stuff comes from him connecting with these women and doing his research, right? Getting some understanding. A lot of times people will go and, be working with certain people or connecting with certain people so they can understand, how women feel. This is how he was able to get into the psyche of a woman, right? Hearing about all these stories and dealing with all these women and what they went through and how he really resonated with women in that way, because he was dealing with women who gave him the information, that guidance, that how they really felt, right? Basically, he used their pain for profit. All right. So I don't think it was just about Derrick Jaxn. I think she plays an integral part in it, right? Because then when he went to write his book about being a family man and doing, and getting, overcoming cheating and this and that, then he used that too. So I just feel like he basically was living the things that he was preaching against, pretty much. Okay. Does she entertain threesomes with him? Asking because she says she knew women's bodies. She said that she knew women's bodies better than hers because she would she would study them on their Instagram. But we could just ask the question, like, did she ever entertain that idea? Because the way she explained it was like, I researched them and I stalked them and I obsessed over them and I tried to be like them. She never once said she was in threesomes with any of these women, right? She would remember videos of them having sex with Derrick and all of this stuff. But give me the energy around Derrick Jaxn and, the threesomes question, Spirit. Derrick Jaxn. I don't know about that. I don't feel like he involved her to that degree, right? This talks about he didn't merge the worlds together. That's what it kind of just feels like in terms of that. His number 3 is in reverse. That 3 could represent, in reverse, they didn't go to that point. And not that it couldn't have been discussed, because it could have been discussed or shot down, but I just feel like she was too wrapped into him, too jealous, too upset about him being with other women to be allowing a threesome. This three's energy is in reverse, so I'm going to go with a no. Okay. Let me wrap this up. Last but not least, chill, I'm just been talking. Will they actually get divorced? Derrick Jaxn and Derrick Jaxn. Will they eventually get divorced? I feel like it because they have in their messages the relationship eventually ending. That's what it talks about. I did do a reading on Instagram where I did say that there's a glimmer of connection, and it's here too. But ultimately, they have division. They have, separation, restriction, withdrawal. They have the Queen of Swords here. That Queen of Swords represent pulling back. The Eight of Wands is relationship slowing down, going into disputes. Eight of Pentacles energy represents, again, having freedom, new perspective, moving on. So I could see, and even in that Three of Wands, this talks about, like them, if that attempt failing. I could see them eventually moving away from each other, right? Girl, why would you be with a man that did all of this? Baby, he looked like a Doberman picture to me. I don't know. He is not cute, but I digress. People see somebody with a fit little physique. I've always dated men with fit physiques my whole life. So that doesn't, when I see him, it doesn't impress me. I'm going to tell you the story. When I first got married, I remember I found Derrick Jaxn on Facebook, right? And this is before I really got on Instagram. And I was like, okay, he got some cool advice, but, but there's something about him, right? Why he always in that car, number one? And then that just almost made me feel like he was pandering to women, right? So I remember one day I was showing my husband, like, this guy, he's talking about women. Why did he tell me? He said, don't be listening to him. He's full of shit. And I was like, for real? He's like, he is so full of it, right? He comes off very likable. And I did feel like he was pandering to women. There was something about him. But I remember actually showing him to this guy to him. He was like, stop listening to him. He's full of it. And look what, years later, he was actually right. So, ladies, sometimes it's not about a man hating on another man. And sometimes a man can see through another man and he bull crap, right? And this is why when Derrick Jaxn got exposed, this is why, when Derrick Jaxn got exposed, this is why, a lot of men, were were happy about it because they all saw through him. How is this going to affect Derrick Jaxn's career as a relationship guru? He has 9 of Pentacles in reverse. That talks about his people not going to trust him, guys. So it shows up as mistrust, right? He's losing opportunities. Derrick Jaxn needs to just go get into a whole nother business, child, because he has been damage upon damage upon damage. A lot of people, a lot of women who are, women, unfortunately, they see a fine man, they see an attractive man, and they just, every other sensibility go out the window. But he does show up with issues. Again, that number 3 is in reverse, representing him having, his achievements being diminished, his growth being stunted, his creativity being stunted. And even if you add the 3 and 3 together, which would make 6, that talks about him running into problems and people not believing what he's saying, and just people not trusting him. So I can see where he's running into issues. He's running into issues now. That Knight of Wands is here in the reverse. And that just talks about people just like, you full of shit. He really just need to get in another business, child. Or maybe he need to go, get another male to be the front person for his bull crap. Because at this point, he was already damaged by what Tasha K had exposed him to. And now his wife has come out and it damaged him even further. How does he feel about Derrick Jaxn speaking on him? And I can only imagine, well, that's her truth, but how did he really feel, Spirit? How did Derrick Jaxn feel, about Derrick Jaxn exposing him? How does he truly feel about Derrick Jaxn exposing him? And of course, who would like it, right? Who would like it? I could see him saying, that's her truth, and I understand she felt she was speaking from her perspective. But just know and believe and trust that's a problem for him, y'all. Period, point blank. I don't care what you say. No man who running a guru business to try to trick women and want a woman to go up there talking about he been tricking women. Period, point blank. This is the end of the road for me. Like, comment, subscribe, share if you care. This is your girl, Blue Nola Tarot. Have a great day. Stay blessed, encouraged, and empowered. And I'll see you next time. Don't forget, I'm running a summer special. Juicy sale at BlueNolaTarot.com. BlueNolaTarot.com. Take care. Bye-bye.